Well, congratulations. Have you come down from heaven from last week when you won the lottery?
Yeah, actually I have, and it's probably about 24 hours of being euphoric, and the 24 hours before the lottery, thinking the worst that we can go from 3 to 6, but we went from 3 to 1. So that was a great night for the franchise, and certainly when we get back to New Jersey after that, it's you have more certainty, and obviously it's an exciting time for our franchise, the people that work here, and certainly our fans.
What was the reaction? I mean, have people been, jumping up and congratulating? I mean, I don't know what it's like. You still have to make a decision, but what's been the reaction?
Yeah, it's a lot of it. Our social media team did a fantastic job capturing a lot of the moments that were so spontaneous, and not only from our employees and the watch parties and internally, but also fans that submitted stuff and that was so real and they're so passionate. And it's awesome to see, because that's what you want from your fan base: passion. And whether that's about good news, or if the team's not doing so well, they voice their displeasure, but they're passionate. If they care, that's a good thing. But it certainly was a great night for us, and a stepping stone to really getting this team better, and looking toward the future.
I guess Taylor Hall's taking a little bit of credit for this, or are you the lucky person, because now it's twice for you?
Yeah, but he's definitely got more than I do. No, it was fun. He's actually 2 years ago, the Nico thing, certainly when he tweeted that out, when he won the first pick, and he was a lottery guru, and he said it jokingly, but certainly he followed that up with the tweet there, and I thought it was great and good fun. But at the same time, we know Taylor doesn't want to be on a team that has the first pick all the time, and in Edmonton it happened more than he would like. But yeah, when he kind of set that out 2 years ago, and now the other night after we won the lottery, it was funny, and everybody's taken off with it, and it's good. It's the fans love to see the interaction with the players, like to see how they're feeling, and I think our social media team's done a great job with this over the last few years. So it's been fun, and the only fun part of not having a great season, but that really pays off when something like that happens with a lottery win.
How ironic, with you and the Rangers both moving up 1 and 2.
Yeah, that was something, huh? And yeah, with myself and Jeff and Stan Bowman moved all the way up in the top 3, so that was something. But Jeff was on my flight on the way up and on the way back, and I've known Jeff a long time. Great guy, he's done a really nice job there, and in terms of what they're trying to do, and similar to what we are doing. And as we got up there, and I did say to him down the final 3, I said, the only reason we're both up here is because we broke the karma of not ever having a deal between the two teams. We did it last year, and so it was not the season they wanted either, but it's a great payoff for them as well, and good for the Ranger franchise, but great for us as well.
What does this mean for your franchise? You grab Nico, and to be back here again in this opportunity to possibly grab a generational player, which a lot of people say will be at the top 2 of this draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's 2 kids at the top of this draft that are very, very good, and I hate to place any expectations on kids that are teenagers, and but at the same time, building something, if missing the playoffs, and when you miss by a point, you might be close, you might not be close, but our season, I felt a lot better about it. Disappointing because of the record, but better of where we are as a franchise. And not only we had a first pick, but first overall, but we also have 3 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks, and certainly players. We had 20 draft picks in the 16 and 17 drafts that we're starting to see the fruition of that turning pro, and it takes some time, but that's what we were in that for. And our managing partners, Josh Harris and David Blitzer, were all about that, and and about a plan. And we run a bump in the road, like made the playoffs last year, and bump in the road this year, but they totally wholeheartedly agree with what we set out to do. And as I said, if you change, then I said, fortunately I have that support, because if you change when things are unexpectedly not as what you thought, then you never had a plan to begin with. So their support has meant everything, and for our fans, I think they see the light at the end of the tunnel, but still a lot of work to do.
You said we have to get talent. Mm-hmm. This is a way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, it actually worked out pretty well. I said it the day before the lottery. So, yeah, and that was something that we knew, and something I know Taylor Hall had said breakup day, and I wasn't really where he said that, but I said it as well. We've said it all year. We need to add talent, not just over this past year. We've added talent, but when I got here, 4 years ago, certainly we had to get younger, had to get many more assets in terms of draft picks, and 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 get talent. And some of that is through the draft, some of that's through trade, some of that is free agency, and not just NHL free agent, but Will Butcher, things like that. So there's every avenue you have to explore to rebuild a hockey team, and we're trying to do that no different than other teams, and that's why it's a competitive league.
You did so much research when you had to pick Nico. It came down to hours and hours of meeting with him. You know Jack Hughes. Is this going to be the same type of procedure, or is it different because Nico played far away and Jack has been in your backyard basically your whole life?
Well, it'll be, back in the 17 draft, it was, not only spending time with Nico over in Switzerland, but also with a number of other players that, were, probably the top 4 or so, top 5 guys, and get to know them better because it's important. And, not just about them, but I think it's important, if you hold the number 1 pick and you want them to know what you're about and what your team's about and what you're trying to do, and some of the history of this franchise, and about Josh Harrison, David Blitzer, and that's part of what I wanted them to know as well. So this won't be much different. I mean, I'm not sure how deep that will go, but certainly I think it's a real benefit that the lottery took place a month earlier this year for the first time ever, right after the regular season. So when I go to the U18s next week, Jack Hughes will be there. I'll be at the World Championship in May, where Kakko will be playing for Finland. When I was at the U18s 2 years ago, Nico was playing for Switzerland, but we were picking 5th at the time, I believe. And, that's the idea of the lottery being much sooner now, and teams have more certainty as to where they are in the first round. And I think that helps their scouting the rest of the year.
Ray, do you embrace the pressure of taking the overall number 1 pick, your decision, and this franchise has to basically hope that you make the right call?
Yeah, no, I think that's the responsibility, and I think, it's no different anytime you're selecting, and I say it all the time, whether it's in the first round, first overall, or second overall, or even in all those draft picks, the only thing they give you for free in the league when you buy a franchise are 7 draft picks, and this year we have 10. But certainly we have a basis of building through some of our younger players, and a lot of cap space, obviously. And but as I said, it's it wasn't going to happen overnight, and there were going to be some speed bumps along the way. But fortunately, if you stick with it, I've been through expansion twice, and with Ottawa and Nashville, and you see the end results, and it's not always as you plan, clear sailing. As you see, it's building a team is almost like the playoffs. There's uncertainty, there's randomness, things you don't expect, things will come up, whether it's trade-wise or, players not developing at what you thought, or that, change things. And you're in a cap league, and the parity is as great as it's ever been, and you see that in the playoffs right now. So, but again, it's a great night for us on Tuesday in Toronto. And but again, we have to get it right. And at the same time, we have 9 other picks in the draft. And those are going to be as important, too, because I always say there's a Hall of Famer outside the first round at every draft. If you look back, just got to find them, and someone will. And those players are very important. And but again, it's kind of down the road we've talked about in terms of getting younger, getting more assets, and to see, I guess, New Jersey and New York 1 and 2 picking in the draft. And when we played them near the end of the year, there was a thing that I don't know if they're the youngest team or the second youngest team, where we're tied. I'm not sure we're not trying to be the youngest team, but we certainly did not want to be the oldest team where we were before. So making progress, and again, a lot of work to do, but brighter days ahead.
Final question. I'm sure your director of scouting and your scouting department is very excited. Is there a belief, though, that this draft can be a special draft with the talent at the top of this draft?
Yeah, and I think the Rangers will feel the same way. I think Chicago at 3, but history goes to show that even you talk about the 03 draft, you talk about even go back, that 03 draft was like the 79 draft, but every draft there's the top end players 04, Ovechkin, Malkin, Crosby in 05, but there's the way to win and build your team and is throughout the other rounds, and certainly building a team. And because as we see, one player, whether it's Connor McDavid, maybe the best player in the league, Crosby is still it, but the younger generation, and he's only made the playoffs once so far in 3 years, and Eichel hasn't made it yet, and those were a 1-2 thing. And they're great players, but they need to be surrounded by a good team, and it's the ultimate team sport. But certainly having a chance at that is exciting for our franchise, gives hope, and when I say last Monday, the day before the lottery, that we need to add more talent, then the next day, that's a really good thing. We're going to add more talent right away. So it's good news.